Skipback Township Board of Supervisors meeting. Start with pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. Paul Fox, I am here. Nick Fountain here. Marion Ellis here. Karen Lynch here. Barbara McGinnis here. Alice Eastmere here. Trace Onmaker here. Joe Coles is not here. Matt Wanmaker is not here. Tim Woodrow is here. All right. On May 1st, and prior to this meeting, we had an executive session where we discussed personnel. And now we have some presentations to go over this evening. So who's going through that?
We have WB Homes first.
Yeah, great. I think we have Chris Canavan from WB Homes. And Chris, if you'd like to tell us about your project, that would be wonderful.
Good evening. Chris Canavan, I'm the president of WB Homes. We're very happy to have purchased 4315 Skipback Pike, which is adjacent to the now closed TD Bank on Skipback Pike. And for the purposes of developing our design center primarily on the property, a design center for new home construction, for those who may not know what it is the location that we will have the vignettes and all the selections we have for their homes. They will be appointment-only situations where our designer will meet with people who have purchased a house and not prospective purchasers. They will have had a contract with us. Then they come in and make all the selections necessary for the house, and we have samples and everything there. So the primary building will be the base of that 3,200 square foot space for that. Above it will be 3 apartments. To the rear will be a 2,000 square foot commercial space with a garage attached to it. Primary purpose of the storage facility is we have a lot of materials that get swapped in and out of the design center as we change materials and whatnot. So it's a great location. Skipback couldn't have been a more desirable location for us to have a facility like that for all of our customers to be able to come in and visit. So we're here this evening just to review the preliminary final land development plan. As you can see, the aerial context plan just shows the general location of the property. The property has 2 buildings on it. The front building will be, or to the left on that plan, you're good. It's there.
Okay, here.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Will be the design center with the apartments above. The building to the rear would be the 2,000 square foot commercial space with the storage facility. If you want to roll to the next one. Just general land development, pretty basic plan. Stormwater will be handled with underground basins under the parking areas. 1 driveway access in with the parking perpendicular to that and some parking in between the 2 buildings. Then we will move to the existing look of the building. That's how the property currently looks today, as most of you are familiar. That particular rear building is not in great shape. And then the next property, if we could, next picture. This is the design of the design center. We try to take the aesthetic of the village and continue it down 73. The porch area on the first building, that first floor is the design center itself, and that's the perspective from coming in off of 73. Along the frontage, we will also extend the sidewalk and the period lighting that Skipback has for street lights so that we can continue that facade and connect the sidewalk a little further down to the wedding venue that's adjacent to it from that standpoint. We can just roll through the other 2. That's the side elevation of the design center for when you're in the parking area. It looks a little like the building up in Cedars, just larger. That was our design inspiration. We love the look of that as you're looking at it from the angle, and we thought that would be a nice way to bookend the other end of 73 with a very similar design aesthetic. So, go to the next, and then above it you can see there's differing elevations, but those would be the way the 3 apartments are above the design center. And then in the next one, I think we'll see the perspective. You can see the building in the rear, 1 more, and we'll be done with our picture. So that's the back building, to give it more of a lodge barn look to the rear to differentiate it. To the left will be, with a little porch, would be the retail space, and then buried to the very back is the storage. So you can't really see that from the roadway, and trying to be respectful of the overall village look. We received Mr. Woodrow's review and have been in front of the Planning Commission. I would say all of the items on Mr. Woodrow's review letter are well complied or noted and will be worked out prior to us looking to record final plans. The Planning Commission did recommend this, so we're here this evening to answer any questions and hopefully ask you to recommend preparing a resolution for approval. We'd love to be in the ground by this fall on the property.
to the
We are-
Science Center?
We basically are building in Bucks, Montgomery, and Lehigh County at this point. So we like this location because of the proximity to the turnpike interchange in Coltsville. You can shoot easily into Skip back, but we also have a number of other projects that can bring up 73 from Germantown Pike. So it's a very central location for our overall area. Yeah. We have a number of projects in the Collegeville, Royersford area as well. So it's just, yeah.
I see that the existing sewer is there, but it needs allocation for more EDUs. We have capacity for that clearly.
We do, Paul, yeah, that's actually one of the tasks ahead for WB Homes is to go out and get those outside agency approvals. There'll be a PennDOT permit required for
Which we're
driveway
submitting for.
modifications, sewer facilities planning module stuff, make sure a fire marshal is happy with the plan and access, and certainly, Northtown Water Authority. So there are a couple other entities that need to weigh in on the plan.
And it was connected to public water already.
Yep.
It's just an upgrade to that from the meter size.
System, yeah. There were some waivers that would be requested of this board from strict compliance with our subdivision and land development ordinance, and they are kind of our standard street frontage requirements. Our ordinance describes road widening, curbing, sidewalk, storm drainage improvements, mill and overlay of properties that front on our streets. Given the proximity of this property to the intersection of 73 and 113, and potential PennDOT improvements out there, I think any improvements on this frontage would be captured by that larger project. They are dedicating the ultimate right-of-way line, or offering dedication of the ultimate right-of-way line, so there would need to be no acquisition of real estate to affect additional improvements along that Route 73 frontage. And the road is fairly wide there today, the paving's in pretty good shape. I don't really see any need for physical improvements other than the importance of that pedestrian connection. As we looked at this project at the Planning Commission, this is kind of what we had hoped our village commercial zoning ordinance would produce in redevelopment of land. And so the importance of connecting this property to the village through that sidewalk connection was an important component of our discussion at the Planning Commission.
So the sidewalk would go the full frontage?
It will.
Okay.
And it connects to the TD Bank property.
Correct. Yeah, that property, correct.
But it goes no further. West?
Well,
Does it-
recall that when you guys approved the wedding venue site, that we talked about trying to get the wedding venue folks to work in cooperation with the redevelopment of this subject piece. They've got some floodplain and channel on the wedding venue site that makes that a little difficult. But we were gonna hold some money on that wedding venue to make sure that we can continue that conversation. There maybe is some thought in being able to use a bit of Route 73, that existing culvert, and use that as a pedestrian access to get from the wedding venue site to the WB Home Sales Center and then into the village. So we're still working through that as the wedding venue comes to fruition. So that is a continuing conversation, but as far as this application, full frontage pedestrian.
And there seems to be an outstanding traffic study that needs to be done?
Yeah, we have actually, as a response to my letter, there is an opinion letter from traffic engineers talking about site distances, levels of service, congestion, and that letter is being made part of the PennDOT application for the new highway occupancy permit that's being filed.
Do you see limitations on things like proximity to the corner, the traffic that backs up, things like not being able to turn left out of there, or things like that, or? would
That
be
remains to be
controlled?
seen, and it might just be over a certain hour. Sometimes PennDOT would say, between 3:30 and 5:30, no left turns, something like that. I don't, I've been in there a couple of times, and midday, usually no problem at all. But to your point, peak rush hour demand could maybe cause some issues, and we'll wait to see.
I would
what
think typically in
PennDOT
the morning on that one, because they're going in.
Yeah.
versus out,
Yeah,
So
our
we'll see what
peak
PennDOT
hour, the weekday morning and weekday afternoon, you're talking peak hour trips coming in out of this like 7 and 16. I mean, this is a de minimis use compared to the overall background when it comes down to it. That's one of the nice things about it. It's just not a heavy use for a village commercial use because of the nature of what we're doing there.
The building that you're showing there, are there apartments in that, or what's?
No, there's nothing above that, that's just facade treatment on the upstairs, just to make it look nice.
Empty up there?
Well, it's trusses, but the dormers give it a, you just don't want to see a roof, so it's nice to have that area. We are limited by two factors here, parking and impervious surface, so that's why that space upstairs is not available for use.
Not that it matters to application, out of curiosity, what's your, you have any deals with any tenants yet?
We do not. We have not even attempted to start marketing. Our experience, especially with this size tenant, we need to be within a certain number of days of availability of occupancy before we go that. Fortunately, from the economics of this project, that is not driving what we can do from funding. Since it's our own project, we are the primary leasehold, if you will, on this, because we're gonna be the design center tenant.
And how many square feet was that again?
The design center is gonna be about 3,100
Probably
square
this
feet.
building here.
This building, the front section is 2,000 square feet, and we can divide that into two 1,000 square foot or one 2,000 square foot is the way we sort of got it laid out.
You know, a lot of people would love to see a little bit of a grocery market there.
That might be a little tough for that size, but I could see
I pitched it.
a yoga shop, yoga studio, smoothie shop, something of that nature would
Gotcha.
be a little bit more of a scale for something like that. So, yeah.
Help me understand the property has a grandfathered, non-conforming legal right to an additional 3 apartment units, because the village commercial use standard is 1 single-family dwelling or 1 apartment located in the same building. It's just language that I'm not real familiar with, if you could help everyone understand.
When we looked at this property, if we could possibly go back, Allison, to the existing building. Right there, just up there. So there is the existing single-family structure in the front, and then you had that multi-peaked roof building in the rear, which had multiple apartments in it. They've been there for a long time. That's the grandfathered 3 residential units. So that's what we had asked, and we got a zoning opinion letter that says those are grandfathered in, and then everything else we're doing on the site is 100% in the village commercial allowance. And then it's really just those 3 units.
Good.
So,
Thanks for the
yeah,
clarification.
absolutely.
So if there's no other questions.
Questions from the audience? Board's done? Questions? Any questions from the audience? Go ahead, Dale.
Yes, sir.
When would you anticipate demolition of those structures?
We would like to, pending the approval of this, where we're sort of waiting to get to this stage, I would say we're probably within the next 6 weeks. If there's an interest, I don't know if there's any fire, we would be interested in working with the fire company.
You've got the fire companies in there, Chris, yeah.
You got that.
You saw the uniforms.
Well, as an example, all of my board in Lower Southford, we always appreciate when we can get those facilities for the fire company.
And there's a question, lady back there, ma'am?
For the apartments, what's the maximum number of tenants and will they have dedicated parking?
They have dedicated parking, and they're 2-bedroom apartments, so you generally see 1 to 2 people rent those facilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And would your business be open on weekends?
Yes. Yeah. That's the nature of the business is we have design appointments. Generally, they run at a 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock time window that we generally see people want to make those appointments. And we try to make ourselves available, based on sort of a will call. But as I said, it's sort of a 1 at a time, 1 family at a time, making their selections in the design center.
So you know the questions back to you, Mr. Woodrow, what's next?
Yeah, so if the board is in general agreement with the waivers for the frontage improvements, we'll have Mr. Cool's draft a resolution of approval for your consideration next month.
Okay. Gives everyone a chance to process this and ask any follow-up
Any
questions next month, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
And it'll be published to them, and people know to ask questions. Gotcha.
While we have you, Mr. Kennedy, any update on progress at the Gypsy Rose Hotel?
We are currently trying to work through some issues with PennDOT related to the site distance on the site. That's sort of where we are at this point.
So you haven't abandoned the project?
Not as of yet.
We're working to see if we can solve those.
Solve the site distance based
So
on
remove
speed.
10 feet of home from the road, so you have better line of sight?
Something like
That
that.
it?
But,
Yeah.
but Paul, to your point, here at the design center, PennDOT could ask questions that would be hard to answer. I don't think they have a problem.
This one we have plenty of site distance on.
Yeah.
That one was a little
That
bit
one's a
tricky.
little more tricky, so. Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
I appreciate
your
it.
time.
Thank you for your time. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
All right, then another presentation, Winstone Nominee 15 LLC. That's a great name.
Good evening. My name is Evan Sowers with the H&K Group.
Hello, Evan.
Good to see you all again. H&K Board sends its greetings.
Oh, thank you.
As you know, back in 1969, Jack and John brought us in the skip back as young men with a dream. And 56 years later, we're on our third generation of ownership, continuing to expand. We started out at 2052 Luton Road and kind of gradually built out from there. And our longtime neighbors towards 73, Palmer International, approached us a few months back and asked if we would be interested in purchasing the rest of their lot that they haven't developed. Palmer's been a long-time resident of Skippack Township as well, and they've gone through their own expansions and land developments over the year. I think the most recent was maybe about 10 years ago. And the plan you see up on screen is the plan that we submitted. So Palmer has developed, let's give some clarity here. Luton Road is off to the left of the screen. Here's Palmer's main cluster of buildings. So they own 14 acres and it goes pretty far back. It's a deep lot. And they've developed to about right here. And they said to us, we don't see ourselves expanding anymore. Would you be interested in purchasing the land? And our board considered it and said, well, we weren't planning on this, but sure, we'll take you up on the offer. So what you have before you tonight is just a simple minor subdivision. They would like to close, which is why we brought this in, as just a simple subdivision. We don't have any immediate plans to develop, because like I said, this was one of those things that kind of came out of the blue. But they're not making any more limited industrial land on Luton Road. So this is an opportunity for us to have it and to hold it, and certainly if sometime we decide we want to develop it, we'll be back in front of you with a land development plan. But for tonight, we're just here with a simple minor subdivision for a lot line adjustment. So the 6.5 acres that's coming off Palmer's 14 will get adjoined to the property at 2040 Luton Road. I think Mr. Woodrow did an excellent job of summarizing in his letter. I don't really have anything to add to what he said.
How many acres is the parcel you're purchasing?
6.5.
And how long is that lot line that's contiguous to your existing property?
I think it's on the screen here. I don't know if I can read it. It's 285 feet from here to here.
Gotcha, perfect.
So
There you go.
plenty of road to
Yep.
get
That's
across.
that was my point, yep. All right.
And it's all zone light industrial, right?
That's correct. And maybe the important factor here is that there's no new lots being created.
Yeah.
It's not like we're creating a third lot from two, H&K is growing by about 6.5 acres, Palmer is shrinking by about 6.5 acres. One of the things that we looked at was that if Palmer gave up 6.5 acres, do they still comply with their zoning bulk area requirements? Impervious cover, building cover, and those kinds of things, because of getting rid of land, can make sure that still complies, and setbacks, rear setbacks and those kinds of things. Evan did a good job of making sure that the land that Palmer was conveying allowed them to stay in compliance with the zoning ordinance.
Yep.
The other component is that back area of Palmer was the area that they had utilized as their stormwater management infrastructure. So Palmer, when they built out front, built detention basins out back. And so there is an easement shown on this plan that allows that storm sewer infrastructure to remain in place and unimpacted by whatever might happen at Haynes and Fiddlehouse. And then there is an easement back and forth between the two entities about maintenance and the ongoing operations of those facilities. So as long as that is in place, I don't see that we're really making any major adverse impacts to either Palmer or H&K.
Pretty straightforward. Any questions from the board?
Yeah. So you have no plans for immediate development, expansion, or anything like that, but you have a 10-year vision?
Yeah, I don't know that we would necessarily put any buildings up at this point. Being a contractor, we're always looking for outdoor storage yard. So I think if I had to look into the crystal ball, if you will, and just fence around it, screen it off, and pave it for outdoor storage. And of course, if there was any other required improvements such as stormwater, we would do that. And like I said, before that to occur, we would be back in front of the planning commission and you with a land development plan.
Thanks, I was just curious what you might.
Yeah,
might do.
no, that's a great question, thank you.
Other questions from the board? From the audience? All right, next step, same thing, have Mr. Pools write something for next month's review.
So we'll be good to go.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Give our
Thank you.
regards back to the team.
And thanks for all your business over the years.
Oh,
and
thank you.
that.
We've been very happy to be part of this community for so long.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, Barry with the Skippack EMS monthly report.
Good evening. For the month of April, Skippack EMS had 218 calls for service. Out of that, we transported 122. Call breakdown by township was 78 for Skippack, 45 for Worcester Township, 16 for Trapboro, 37 for Perkiomen Township, and 11 for Lower Southford Township. Included in that is 10 calls for the prison, which I can segue into the prison. The company that was paying the prison bills filed for Chapter 11. The reorganization plan was approved. Unfortunately, in that reorganization plan, we stand to make maybe $66 out of the $21,700 that they owe us.
All right, so we're eating 21 grand. Great.
So I approached the state and Penny Cook's office to see if the state's position is that that clears them of debt, the state itself, or whether or not they still feel they owe us the money. I'm waiting for a response from that.
Okay.
Other than that, today was a good day. We took delivery of the ambulance.
Oh, awesome.
So I don't know if it's like when you
We're gonna touch ambulance
you
for
take
you?
delivery of the ambulance, it's a good thing, but we did. But I was gonna bring it by tonight. Pardon me for a little.
Nobody wants to be the first ride, but
Yeah.
can be the first ride of a brand new ambulance.
And that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
But it still has to be all tricked out and stuff, right?
Yeah, we still have that. It's,
That's why not.
it'll probably be 2 months before we have our,
Do you have your narcotic safes in and all that stuff yet?
they're in, now we can start installing. We didn't want to do it until we had the new ambulance in, so
Yep, yep.
one transition, it makes it a lot easier on us. Okay.
Any questions for Barry? All right, we'll keep working with Penny Cook on the whole prison thing. I mean, it is what it is, but thanks for.
Yeah.
Don't forget Matt Bradford.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, touch base with him.
I never do, because he's actually a really good advocate for us.
Responsive.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, hey, public comments, go ahead, we moved down a lot on the list, hasn't it? Justin, go ahead, you first.
So, I've, talked about this before, but we have a extremely serious motorized vehicle problem with children. None of them are in compliance with what the state police laws are. They're all almost all under the age of 16. They're riding at night now with lights and listening to headphones at 10 o'clock. They're going 60 on the competition style dirt bikes all over. UPS trucks have to slam their brakes. People have had to get out of the way. Some of the smaller kids that have the little bikes will hide behind cars on the street and just come out. It's just really worrying. Whether or not someone's parents think their kids are capable of doing that, I'm really afraid somebody's going to get hurt. And I don't want to be the one to accidentally get behind a kid we can't see. The problem is really bad. They're everywhere. And it's only gotten worse. And once one kid sees one, the next one gets one. And per the state police chart, I talked to Alice about it, none of these are in compliance. They think because they put a light on the front or they put a reflector on the back or the kid's got a helmet, it's compliance. They're not. They're under 16, they don't have tags, it doesn't go under 20 miles an hour, they go over 20 miles an hour, so, I've reviewed the state police stuff and talked to Alice about it, but it's just springtime, they get off the bus. I was actually on 113 by Iron Bridge and Perkins Creek Road, and everyone just screeched to a halt because the kid was probably just going to his friend's house with a backpack. And both sides just screeching, and he's going like 2 miles an hour right through the Iron Bridge. And it's not their fault, they're kids, parents let them have the bikes, they're popular, but it's, I don't want to see somebody get hurt, it's getting really bad.
Well said, Justin, thank you for that. Other public comment? Clint, you're next.
Yes, the Skip Back Strider group, yoga group would like me to ask you to get the elevator fixed soon.
We're working on it. You'd be surprised how few people are out there and what that costs, but I'm hearing 4 to 6 weeks for parts to come.
Now I'll be able to go tomorrow because I said this.
Tell them we're on it, thank you, we totally get it, yep. Others, oh, there you go.
Hi, I'm Mike Lambert, representing the fire company. I just want to remind everyone, our Touch a Truck event is June 7th from 10 to 2. And thank everybody in the township for their support already and help in advertising and sending trucks.
Awesome. Will the new ambulance be there?
Hopefully. A lot of ambulances will be there. It should.
Right, thank you.
It's a fun, it's a super event.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's at the elementary school.
Yeah, it's great.
This is your what, third year?
Third year, yeah. Yeah, we moved to spring because it's, fall has been really busy for firefighters with open houses, so I hope that the spring brings us good weather and lots of fun as well.
Karen, you gonna ask for the helicopter again? Is the helicopter coming?
Yeah, is the helicopter coming?
It is not yet scheduled.
No, I had an accident.
What? Oh, no.
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
I did not.
It was an emergency. Wait, wait.
Yes, we landed in
All right, other public comment? Clint, again?
Yes, I'd like to add that yoga is a pretty nice group, and it's a nice activity, and people should go. It's Thursday morning at 8:30 to 9:30. It's a good deal.
Where's that at?
Here.
Oh, here's the elevator gets fixed.
Yeah, once the elevator gets fixed.
You can follow on Facebook, they post stuff out there all the time, they're planking all over town, including Plank Road, I think it's very
We're
great.
having a plank contest.
Yes. I suggested that we all do a plank and get a picture taken and participate, but I was voted down.
Mine got taken, the coach, the instructor did a plank at the Dutch. And I just wanted to do that, and I said, you took my
You can
fire.
come up with something, I know.
And she looked good, not as good as me.
Other public comment? Go ahead, hey.
Hi, Tammy Pittus. I just wanted to follow up on the last meeting, with Barbara's comment about the historic, buildings, and I know we're doing the comprehensive plan, so I just wanted to provide just a little bit of information in my 2 minutes. I do have the list of the historic creamery houses from the 2005, when that was put together, and there were 28 houses. Now, I know some of them have changed. I know that the country store, that's no longer there, but so I'm sure this list has changed, but I do have that list, and they are in a concentrated area, which would be great for, when you are doing the planning for the comprehensive plan. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has their state historic preservation office, and they have municipal planning ordinances and zoning overlays. So they say that local preservation ordinances are land use laws. Municipalities are advised to include local and county planners, planning commissions, and municipal solicitors in discussions about this. I know that some townships have created what they call an historic district, whereas Creamery, that area with those so many houses may fall under that historic district in creating that. And in doing so, with that concentration of buildings, of historic places in close proximity to each other, it might kind of qualify for that. And I know that there can be codes and planning codes put into place through the language that can protect individual properties in rural and suburban settings like us, and they require special consideration of historic preservation when reviewing variances or subdivisions and special exception applications. So that might be something the board would want to take into consideration to kind of protect those really old, 100-year-old buildings. Because they are important to skip back, and if we keep losing them, and we don't stress the importance to those homeowners, while sometimes I know you can't put requirements on whether they can or can't do things, but we can make recommendations and let them know how important these old buildings are to us. And maybe recommendations or even, suggestions or whatever we can do to keep those in place. So I know other townships have some of these, like Lower Marion, Cheltenham, and Abington also have preservation codes written in there, especially with demolition decisions. They actually have boards and committees for the historic district where they have panels, you know, that make some of these decisions and recommendations when it comes to, you know, destroying some of these old houses. So I just wanted to put those ideas out there for the commission when you're doing the planning. So, thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
I have a question for you. Sure. In Creamery, the historic homes, are they along 113? Or they sit further back off of 113?
Yes, I'll give you the list when we're done.
Okay.
I'll show you that list
Because
of.
Creamery is so small,
I know.
you would think
Yeah.
they'd be everywhere then.
Right, yeah, I have a list with me, so I'll
Okay,
show you.
I'd like to see it.
Other public comment?
I just want to make sure we preserve Dave's garage.
I just wanna say I love the fact that you care so much about this. And you've done a lot of research over time on this topic. I guess one suggestion, we can talk offline, is to link you up with, people at the Historical Society. And maybe there's just, by joining forces, there's some recommendations that we could take a look at.
Good stuff. Anybody else?
Can I piggyback on the bikes or whatever we're calling these things?
Yeah.
There's a couple of sections of the park where they're actually destroying the area. I don't know if they're using them as ramps. You know, the people that play bocce are here, we can attest, they're out there after dark, rolling around the park, yelling, radios blasting. So like that.
Yeah, they're gonna hit it, besides getting run over by a car.
Yeah.
They're gonna hit other pedestrians.
Well, that was my concern, it's a softball game, there's little kids running in that.
Yeah,
And they just go.
they're gonna wail into one of them, yeah.
It's a significant problem, we're with you. It is. Working on it. I see it on our agenda in the future. Until then, just keep talking, please. All right, anything else? Okay, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm in old business, that's a different topic, or is that?
I wouldn't call you old business. But I do
We're
that-
on the agenda under old business.
It's running that under old business. Can you hang out?
Sure.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion to approve the April 9th Board of Supervisors meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, administrative actions, treasurer's report. Tracy, what do you have for us?
Nothing really, going well, we're doing well. Again, some of the same areas that we talked about before, overspending. I have been moving some money around to get better interest rates from, in particular, just last week I did $5 million from Key Bank to Pliget, because it's a 300 basis point difference. So from 1.86 to 4.47, so 2.5, my line. So we should see some money with that. My understanding is Mr. Woodrow, they met for sewer, so we'll be spending some money too. We need everybody. But that fund is healthy, and so I just want to point out on your financial statements, if you really look at the second page is where you really kind of get your better bang for your buck, is what funds we have, what dollars we have per fund. So if you're looking like, what do we have for sewer? Would we have to go out and do a bond? Again, at what time do we have to do it? It kind of gives you a little bit of idea when Tim then brings up the numbers that he's gonna bring up. So.
It's all Tim's fault. And how much is it, what, $12 million in the sewer fund?
18 million.
18, there you go. Okay. So fear not.
Right. Don't speak to me. You have to wait till your Tim says prices are going up.
I don't have much tonight on that.
Anything else, Tracy?
No,
Oh,
that's
sure.
it. That's Tracy. Question for you. So last look into and provide an analysis for the sewer to see whether we wanted to move to online payment minus a fee to do that. Were you able to get that started?
I'm still waiting, I have some data, I'm still waiting for Donna's data, and she wasn't here today to kind of put that together. But I think you'll find that it's significant. We also did just make a change that it's very frustrating with the sewer billing coming down now. One of our residents had to call to enlighten us that you couldn't do auto pay, even on that online system if you wanted to. They hadn't turned it on, just assumed it was turned on. So that's on, I think, in the day that it was turned on, we got 15 to 20 customers. And that's a good, and that was after everybody had to pay their bill. So, the one nice thing is if we do that and we can drive people to the online, whether they pay online or not, they can also, that's the mechanism to get your paperless bill. And we just had a complaint this morning, somebody said, oh, I just got my bill today, and it was due 5 days ago, or 6 days ago. So that could eliminate that, and we could drive people again to do that. Because I think our ordinance does say, it's not our fault if you don't get the bill. You should know you owe it. And while we can say that, I think, this at least helps us process that. So I am working on it, hopefully June will come back, because it wouldn't happen until July anyway, July's billing. Thank you. Thanks.
Anything else for Tracy?
Question out there.
Oh, go ahead, Josh.
No, I'm not complaining about this, I'm just kind of like, from the last time we were here, so Tracy, when I went on to pay mine, so I think we told Paul, it was like between like each check $1, $3, with all the fees and everything combined, it was close to $9 when I ended up paying it online, so that was a lot for, not that I'm complaining, but.
It depends how much you owe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is a percentage of what you owe.
What was the percent of it?
Bill, it's 3%.
So if you owe $100 for that quarter, it's $3.
Yes, and they used to do it, any increment of like $100 was another $3. That's changed with the new system, but
Well, just in your report, like what your suggestion was last week about any assumption of fees for anybody, that consideration into that formula.
yeah, and I think the one thing I didn't say last time is that on what I call the general services side, so sewer or the non-sewer utility billing, we absorb those fees now. So if somebody comes in to pay a $10,000 permit fee, which is high, that's very high, we're absorbing that fee. So we're already doing it a little bit now. So that may be a consideration too, thinking what we're going to do with that. So.
Okay.
When we say we, it's collective we.
Well, yeah, ultimately, you guys, but yeah.
All right, is there a motion to acknowledge the treasurer report as of April 30th, 2025?
I'll make the motion.
Motion is all in favor?
Aye.
All right, case of bills. Third motion to approve the bills paid April 11th through May 20th. General fund, the amount of $45,385.31. Open space fund of $8,677.64. Sewer fund of $8,778.32. As well as bills to be approved for payment today, May 22nd. General fund for $250,610.20. Open space fund, $34,880.89, and the sewer fund of $162,538.04. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And partial staff reports, up to you, Mr. Woodrow.
Yeah, I got a long list tonight. Should be pretty quick. First on my agenda, recall that we went out to bid to put some pedestrian connections at Carnegie and Mill Road, ramps and crosswalks and some signage. We only got one bid from Jim Kinney. It was $83,000. That's about twice what I estimated it to be. And so I'm going to ask the board for a motion to reject that bid and re-advertise. Recall we were waiting for some PennDOT permits for additional ramps at Collegeville and Kratz and Creamery. And when those PennDOT permits come in, we can bundle that work with this work and hopefully get a better price. I did speak to Mr. Kinney. He said, I made a mistake on my math. So he really wasn't $83,000, but that's the number that came in on the document, so I think we need to reject the bid, and I'd ask for a motion to reject that bid tonight.
You just switched the 8 and the 3.
I think so, yeah. It feels that way, it really does.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to reject bids from Jim Kinney for $83,950?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Rejected.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we will rebid that as soon as those other PennDOT permits come in. Just a word of update, so Justin and Chris and Fred Ebert and I met this week to talk about our sewer projects. Mostly we focused on Crestman Road and Mud Whiskey. Recall that you have authorized us to design and bid the construction of a low pressure sewer system that would serve our existing homes along Crestman Road, as well as an extension of sewer from Curry along the Whiskey up to Evansville. Those plans are in pretty good shape. Went over with Fred. He's going to finalize that design, get some big specs together. Probably ask for authorization to advertise at the June meeting. Hopefully open those bids in July and get that construction started later this summer. A good project for sure. We also talked about the larger Herkimer Creek interceptor upgrade that we're talking about doing, as well as the replacement of a section of our gravity store in Route 113. Remember a year or so ago we had a problem with that pipe that collapsed. We had a big bill from Haynes and Kittle House to fix it in the middle of the night. So we have a couple of sections of sewer main along with our force main in Collegeville Road. Remember again last Christmas we had a problem with that force main. So what's evident to us is that we have some aging infrastructure and probably should invest in some improvement to that infrastructure. The cost for our main interceptor on Herkimer Creek, we came in about 2 years ago, just a little above $8 million. What we want to do is get you a fresh number. So we're taking the plans, kind of softly giving it to a couple of contractors. Let's make sure we have the numbers correct. And hopefully next meeting we bring you back, just for Tracy's sake, an idea of what that cost is going to look like to rebuild that as well as the gravity sewer that we worked on the creek. Again, 18 million feels like it's enough to cover all of that. We talked about, with Fred actually, some financing options other than spending our cash, and we can certainly talk to Tracy about those options when the time comes. But it's something that we're paying a lot of attention to now. It's been in the back of our minds for a couple of months, and we're letting that conversation rise to the top at this point. So working on it, we'll have more information on the larger system next month, and so all good stuff for the public infrastructure.
So you mentioned 2 places where the infrastructure aging issue is imminent and
Correct.
needs to be fixed. So do we have an idea as to what's next after those 2?
Yeah.
And
You know what,
what are those things
we
might happen?
talked about the priorities. We have an obligation to upgrade our interceptor that runs along Herkimer Creek in conjunction with the prison connection to that system. We haven't experienced any problems with capacity yet, but the numbers would figure out that we really need to make sure we operate that line. So that's our first obligation. We think our second hotspot is that sewer main, basically from Landis down to the interceptor in the creek. A section of that we did fix with Haynes and Kittle House 2 years ago, so that wouldn't be part of it. But the balance of that on, and what we know is that the group of the Evansburg Road sewer pump station lifts sewage up Landis Road, drops it into 113. That sewer has a delay at the pump station causing a lot of sewer gases. Sewer gases attack the old asbestos cement pipe. And so we know that that is an area where we're going to get improvement made sooner rather than later. And so that's number 2 on our list. That force main that goes from Evansburg Road pump station up and through to Landis, we want to take a look at. That might be a relining of that pipe as opposed to a replacement, but that would be number 3 on our list. We have in the past, we've done some sewer manhole repair replacement in the sewer main that runs along the back of the shops on 73. There was some damage done to some manholes, there were some leaky manholes. We spent a good deal of it a couple of years ago fixing those up. Recall that we went through Fort Benton and replaced all that sewer line, replaced all those laterals. So that again was something we have completed. That was a real source of inflow and infiltration into our system. And so, you know, kind of every year trying to, you know, hit another one of those goals as far as improving.
Tracy, I'm putting you on the spot. Do you know off the top of your head how much we collect a year from our total EDUs, including prison EDUs?
Collection, we do about 460,000 a quarter, and our collections are
So almost $2 million a year we're collecting.
yes.
Perfect.
And the one thing I
That's our replenishment rate. That's what I was going to get at.
yeah, well, and we may have to get creative with financing because there was talk to taking away the tax exemption from municipal bonds. So now our bonds don't look so attractive. I mean, when we get closer, like MS may be another avenue to go versus traditional bonding. So we can talk, if we know some numbers, we can talk to Jamie.
I don't know too deep, I just want to make people feel like they, you know, this like seems like doing good, it's okay.
Yeah,
We take $2 million a year. You fix things as they go along, so waiting for a $100 million bill, you'll stay ahead of things. We're not going to sell the hog or anybody else. We are in really good shape. All right.
Yes. And actually our costs are relatively, you know, there's some good, probably $500,000 a year of just savings.
Excellent.
Do we cover stuff like that in terms of scheduling in a comprehensive plan, in terms of infrastructure?
There's a chapter on infrastructure in the comprehensive plan. I don't know how deep they are going to dive with that conversation, but there is a section on infrastructure.
Thank you.
Sure. By way of update, PennDOT finally approved our liquid fuels funding for our road project. That was a bit of I-dotting, T-crossing. But with that PennDOT approval of the use of liquid fuels funding to reimburse us for our road work, our contractor is planning to get started right after Memorial Day.
Okay.
And we've got a whole list of roads that we're taking care of that, you know, that we identified. So coming up, and so that is going to get started very soon.
Can we post that on our website what the
Yes.
project plan is, what roads are, so the residents know? Thank you.
That's good. Yeah. Any chance that any will be added?
At this point, no. Yeah.
You're on a roll, keep going.
All right, fair enough. So recall, we've gotten some grant funding to do the pedestrian crossing between Meadow Glen 1 and Meadow Glen 3 or 2, Cross Road. That permit's been issued, the plans have been drawn by traffic planning and design, the bids are on the street, opening in about a month. Is we'll open that bid, hopefully kind of award that either June or July meeting, and get that road work started for that long-awaited pedestrian crossing. But in conjunction with that, recall that PennDOT is repaving Cross Road. And we've been in conversation with PennDOT. Justin has been talking to PennDOT about that project. Their contractor is obligated to finish their road paving project by the end of June. And so, you know, they're gonna get done, we're gonna come in, we're gonna make some paint marks and stuff, but hopefully we're not gonna do any damage to what road work PennDOT has completed, and that will be a good time for us to finish up pedestrian crossings.
Is PennDOT's work on Cross Road come all the way down to 73? Okay, good.
The whole road.
Yeah, all the way
All
out.
the way out.
Both southward and eastward.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion, Tim, because you've mentioned Justin several times in your conversations, that maybe we should introduce Justin?
That was an Alice's name.
So we're gonna meet Justin in a minute.
People are probably saying,
Yeah.
well, who's Justin? And who are you talking about?
John, talk about Justin right here. We'll let Alice introduce.
Go ahead, Alice. Might as well do it now, sure.
Justin is our new assistant manager with Skip Hack. He comes from Carroll Engineering, so he brings a lot of knowledge and expertise in the world of zoning and working with stormwater, and is a good partner with what we do with Tim day in and day out with the road. So we're very happy to have him as part of our team.
Welcome, Justin.
And while I'm going, we also have Beth Mazza, who has joined our staff. Beth comes to us from Senator Pennycook's office, so she brings a lot of experience in the world of governing and laws and rules and support for our community and being able to resolve issues as quickly as possible and building the partnership with some of our other governmental bodies within the state in support.
Welcome back. And maybe it's a good time to acknowledge that. Keep going.
And we just want to take a moment to also thank Allison Lewis. Allison has been with us for 2 years now, and she is going on to bigger and better things by managing her 3 children and taking care of her family. So we're sorry to see her go, but we just wanted to thank her publicly because she's been an awesome asset.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
You've been great to work with.
Oh, thank you.
Now, by the end of the summer, I want to know who's harder, your 3 kids?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure, really. They might give a run.
All right, yes.
Definitely a lot more running around, that's for sure. They're busy, so.
All right.
Remember last month, we were talking about the PennDOT project, the replacement of the Route 73 bridge over the Skip Bridge.
Yep.
And some of the traffic delays that we're seeing out there. Again, Justin and I tagged, Justin went out yesterday and talked with the contractor in the field. I was able to go to a Zoom call this morning with our PennDOT representatives. I think we came back with similar information. I think the good news is that one-way traffic pattern with the flagman only is expected to last another 2 or 3 weeks depending on the weather. They've got to be able to get the eastbound traffic lane paved, shift the temporary barriers over, and then from then on it'll be 2-way traffic. We won't have the daily during the workday one-way traffic pattern that is so disruptive to all of us.
And that paving was scheduled for this week, but you see with the weather.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but hopefully they get that done.
Hopefully by the 4th of July.
Yeah, right. And as we pointed out, so one of the delays early on was moving all the Pico wires and the poles. That's all been done. One of the bigger tasks left is Pico's got to move the gas main. And so that will occur outside of the work zone, outside of the traffic pattern. But that's probably a month or so in and of itself. So there's a lot of delays built into these bridge projects because of utility coordination and all those kind of things. But they're still targeting June of 2027 for 2026. 27. Yeah.
2 years.
2 years to finish all that work up. I said 27, I didn't sound right, but it's 27. Crazy. But anyway, we'll keep in touch with PennDOT. We've got some good contacts now. As events unfold, we're going to keep you guys informed.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, but I'd love if they were a little more communicative, so we share with the constituents on a real-time basis. I mean, it's just nuts, but thank you.
Yeah, we reached out to them, and once we reached out, they were very receptive of getting back to us. So, I think maybe we'll just reach out to them a little more often and stay in touch with,
I'll go down there and have a pizza, do something.
Yeah, something.
All right.
Great. Next on my agenda is a consideration to adopt a resolution authorizing us to apply for a Greenways grant. This is for trail work all throughout town in 250?
Mm-hmm.
We're asking for $250,000 from the program in order to facilitate our grant or our paving of our trails and some improvements to those facilities. So resolution 2025-22.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions about us asking the state for money to pay for stuff we want to pay for?
Let's do it.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-22 to authorize application to the Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program grant from the Commonwealth Financing Authority?
I'll make it. I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you very much. Just a way of information, we're giving Toll Brothers a bunch of money back for paving their roads. It's kind of a large release, but they really have completed the vast majority of their infrastructure, there's sewer, there's water, there's storm sewer, there's curbs, a lot of sidewalk, a lot of trees, a lot of trails, all the paving. So most of that is done. So this release is $1,467,841.10. Still $1.3 million left in that escrow account. There's some contingency money in there and final payment and all those kinds of things. But if you can buy, you know, they get the dry utilities in, so it's the Verizon, Comcast, Pico, and all that stuff's going to those trenches. That's making a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
But as soon as it should be done, whether any day, they can back over the trenches. And as you can see, they're building houses in there at quite a pace, so.
All right, and since they meet the criteria, we don't need to vote on it, you just release it here to donate, okay? All right. Anything else?
Questions, that's what I had.
All right. Good, Justin, we got
For Jim, when are they gonna put in that split fence that's supposed to go behind there for the property where?
Yeah, good question. Now, yeah. Yeah, I did reach out to them, Justin, you know, they're kind of completing the trails and some landscaping, but that fence is certainly in, this phase this spring.
Cause that'll be just like Wonder's fence over there. No,
I think the Wonders fence is the white, right? I think
Yes.
this is, I think the fence on the plan for that back property is traditional split rail. But it will delineate, you know, properties for sure.
All right, we're gonna stick with the solicitor, the planner, and now to Alex, what you got for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to go back real quick and also speak about the grant for the greenways. The good thing, this is a DCED grant, and the good thing about it is tying in with the comprehensive plan. We know which trails we need to update through the next few years, and this is a grant that we can apply for every single year. So it certainly is not just a one and done thing. It can go over a 4 or 5 year period. So we kind of have our timing set up, and it should work well with any projection of work that's going to be done from year to year. So I just wanted to touch base on that.
I understand, when you say we apply each year?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
it's not a multi-year.
No, it's once a year, which is good, because sometimes it makes it difficult when you apply for certain grants, and I'm sure like the fire department, EMS, you know, you can apply every year, but sometimes they get like, you know, oh no, you got it. This is really to support the open space and the trails, so they're a little bit more lenient, I guess you could say.
And you have grant writing help now with some of these folks that were?
Well, we are working together and kind of learning the way through all the different grants. So right now, we're going to try and keep it in-house. Some grants obviously are much larger and require much more information, engineering steps, and things like that. So, but right now, some of these we're just going to keep in-house and do.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right, what do you got, first thing?
So the first thing is I would like to ask for consideration and potential action upon a letter request from Perkiomen Valley Library for the disbursement of $6,000. The librarian was in last week, and we always support every year the library and their cause for the community. And this year they have asked for a little bit of an increase, and we do feel like they're a great partner in our community and activities that go on there. So we would like to provide them with a $6,000 donation this year. Last year we did $3,000.
Tracy, remind me, when we did the budget for contributions, we just did a full number to cover any kind of adjustments and changes, right? So it's
Yeah,
$300.
we have some extra funds in there to cover this for sure.
Any questions or thoughts on the $6,000 request from anybody?
No.
Concerned with the amount, we good?
Yeah, because we budgeted for it.
Well, we actually just budgeted a big chunk or whatever, so we do what we want.
For all the requests.
Yep.
But I mean, we're well within that.
Yeah, we're covered.
All right, I'm just making sure we comfortable with that. When you give to one, you take from somebody somebody else a lot of times, so.
No, we budgeted, I'm still going over the page, we budgeted before we budget the library, then we threw additional dollars should anybody else just come to us, and it's there.
All right. With that said, is there a motion to approve $6,000 contribution to the Perk Valley Library?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is, and I could probably do 2 and 3 together. We have had a request from the Perkiomen Valley School District for Skip-Pack Fire Company to provide fire police assistance for the PV Valley High School graduation, which is on June 6th at 4:30. Same type of action, but it's coming from Upper Southford Township, requesting Skip-Pack Fire Company to provide fire police assistance during their annual Philadelphia Folk Festival during the morning hours of Thursday, August 14th. So I know that there was a conversation that took place at the last meeting. Hayden is not here. I don't know if anybody can also speak to it.
Yeah, I thought the Hayden's stance was they don't have fire police.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
This is not a serviceable action.
Yes.
Am I misreading that, right? Yeah, I don't see any action here then.
The answer would be no.
No. Excuse me, when these letters come in, we still have an obligation to present them to the board, just like if we needed support for something, we would send it out to other townships. So, we kind of had a feeling how this was gonna go, but we are,
Obligated.
yes,
Yeah, we can't commit to what our chief says he can't provide, so.
correct.
All right.
But when we respond, can we say it's because they don't have fire police, not just,
Yes.
we're not giving you them?
Absolutely, and I think this is a common thing that's happening all over the place, and it's an unfortunate thing, but, it ties in with their struggles with volunteerism and a lot of other issues, so hopefully things will look brighter down the road, but right now it is what it is.
All right, let me know.
Very good.
Oh, we're up to old business now.
Old business.
All right, bocce pavilion repairs and updates, Recreation Park Board. Rob, how you doing, bud?
Hey, everybody, Rob Batista. So I'm here on behalf of the Parks Board to make a recommendation on behalf of that board to ask for consideration of the full board to refurbish the bocce courts. So we've done it a couple different times over the last 10 or 15 years. Like kind of piecemeal, like our members throw in thousands of dollars to try to do that maintenance. So after exhaustive looking into doing that year after year, 2 of the members reached out to different contractors, see what it would cost, kind of do something permanent, right? So a refurbishment of an artificial surface in the 2 bocce courts. I think we provided the dollar value. I don't remember the dollar value. Karen, you probably have that sorted. Yeah. Would last, I think they guarantee for 25 years. And that is with an exposed, without a roof, with an exposed court surface. So this could last significantly longer. Have no maintenance, no upkeep, any of that kind of stuff. It's just permanently fixed.
Karen, you have that handy? Is it available, and is there an amount that we have to put up the bid?
Yeah.
Sure,
Yes.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
I believe
All right.
there's one for like 32,400 and there's another piece for 54,980.
Okay. All right, so surface is one thing. Keep going on your, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's the significant bulk of it, right? So there are some repairs in the concrete. She's an old guy thing, and so we have older members that we just wanted to make sure that there's no exposed bricks or anything like that that need to be kind of fixed. And I think our bid, looking at some of the members here, we have probably at least 10 guys here. That bid includes some of the surface fixing too, I believe. So we just want to ensure some safety, but also like the long-term durability and lack of maintenance for the courts for them.
You guys see surface and drainage as the 2.
Yeah. There's some significant drainage issues now. The roof kind of on both sides, trained to the middle. That's what's causing a lot of the problems. Is that it's going underneath, like there's groundwater you call it, the pooling, and then making everything pop up, and so some of the drainage needs to be taken care of too.
Well, there's 3 estimates. Was there one that we were?
Yeah, so we recommend I think the 50K one, because it is fully artificial. That's the one that's guaranteed for 25 years exposed. It doesn't have to be touched for more than a few decades if we go with that option.
All right, so Tim, the best way to go forward here would be to vote on put out the bid for these things, you meet with our board to get them all analyzed, make sure you're getting the right surface and all the other stuff.
Right, in order to spend that kind of money with public tax dollars, it's gotta be, there's gotta be a bid spec prepared, so we gotta be able to quantify what all this material is, gotta be publicly advertised and, a low bidder established. So we need to, define that scope of work, but I guess maybe more importantly is, when do we have that money budgeted to spend? Is it available to spend in 2025, or does that need to be pushed to a 2026 budget? I guess it's.
Well, the bids are free, right? And
Well, I can't bid it now and say you can't start until 2026.
but we don't know until we know what the bid is, right?
I don't know, well, it's going to be more than 50, because you gotta pay prevailing wage rates, you gotta have the insurances, once you spend public dollars, it's probably going to be 25% more than the bids we got from.
Have you looked at the condition at all yet?
I'm not.
I'm wondering, well, first of all, what,
Just a comment on that, I know, like, the public sector has to do all that due diligence. People have worked pretty, I don't think, the guy that did all the legwork for us, for the.
He presented last month.
Yeah, he's on here. It took him a year to get 2 companies to even bid on that. So I don't think you're gonna get more than that, and if they do, I would hope that you would really vet them, because there's only a handful of people that do this work, period. And we've got a bid that includes everything, so I think 50K would be the 50K.
Well,
yeah.
Your contractor probably isn't paying prevailing wage rates.
That's the only option.
So we gotta pay prevailing wage rates, we've gotta, there's a bidder's qualification form of the bid documents. We've gotta advertise for a specified period of time, there's gotta be a bid opening, there's gotta be a bid. It's the process of public money.
Can we approach it a different way? For example, I know the Little League, that's our land, those are our fields. But somehow there's things that they go and do, and they can pay for it through their organization, and not have to go through that kind of process. Is there any way we can fund an organization who's using the facilities to say we're the bocce league, and we can, there's a way around this?
I think.
Craig has a wrong brand, you're not for
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit out of my area of expertise.
Okay.
Where's Joe?
It sounds like we have to take this offline to discuss the way forward, and whether or not there's something in our budget for Parks and Rec that we would postpone or not do and do this instead. And I think that's a discussion that we have it now, or we have it at some point, and get back to.
I'm not trying to push back, I'm just trying to education. How planned would it be for the season that you want to try to push this for budget 2026?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. How playable would it be for this season if you wanted to try to budget for 2026 and put out the bid in the fall?
I mean,
in the spring.
It's playable, it's doable. I mean, of course you prefer, like, we try to time it where, like, the guy that we would hopefully choose could do it in between seasons and we lose a couple of weeks, but I don't think you could do it in like the winter. It has to be in a certain temperature range.
Yep.
So we can probably do it. I mean,
Can I speak at all of this, or is it just?
No, please, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm Dave Gruber, I was the one who presented a while ago to you. Nice to see you all again. Sorry, I was just coming from a bocce match, so I was a little delayed. The courts you can still roll on, it's just such a bad shape. Like, there's no playing surfaces, it's true. The uneven surfaces around the edge of the bocce courts, there's like the 2-inch gaps between concrete and bricks, which pose serious risk, in my opinion, to it. The courts we're proposing, those artificial ones, are maintenance free for 25 to 30 years is what they're saying, and they could potentially last even longer. So you were asking, can you play on the courts? Yes, you can play on the courts. It's not quality. And I hate to see our league go from what it has been in the past to what it could potentially go with people getting frustrated, and it's just like crossing, low spots and bumps, and I mean, we've done our best over the last 19 years since 2000 or 2008, since they've been put in. We've doctored so many different times, and I think us trying to do it ourselves, not being professionals, in a way we've made it better but worse. So that's kind of the state of it. It's almost in a state of, disrepair where we can't really do anything about it. So if it goes another year, yes, we can play on it. It's not good. So.
Did the other people we talked to and have contact with ever bring up any conditions or concerns about our?
The morning.
Remember the people we met with? Yeah.
No, they never did.
So.
How many leagues do we have used the bocce court?
We have the, what are they called, the curmudgeons? Every morning, like 3 days a week, then the bocce league, and then the, Special Olympics comes in. And I will say, we went out and did look, and there is a drop in where the concrete is and where the brick is, and you can see where the water is probably eroded, and it's created that drop.
Well, I mean, I think there's different parts of this, right? So one is, I'd love to get a look at it. I mean, if there's a safety issue, you've got to find somewhere to make sure that you want to trip.
Correct.
I mean, especially if kids there, and you got a trip hazard. So, I think we got to prioritize things, and if we can't get a bid to determine whether or not we're going to fit in the budget for playing surface, then that kind of puts us in a difficult situation.
Well, I guess maybe the question, let's take it $100,000. Is there $100,000 in park improvement budget numbers that we could allocate to bocce? And if there is, we want to spend that $100,000 on the bocce courts, and that's kind of the decision the board's got to rest
I'm
on.
concerned with the safety issues for sure. Or the erosion, that just makes it worse.
Is it open space or general?
It would be considered general in Palmer.
Yeah, because Palmer wasn't purchased of open space.
So we can't use open space money.
Do we have anything that we set aside for parks and recs and things like the splash pad or something this year?
Space, we did, yeah. And because we have some stuff in there.
You get a smaller splash pad.
We bought some playground equipment out of the park lot that we, when we were doing the budget, we put in to buy it out of open space.
We can't use open space money for this, right? I don't know, everyone's looking at me.
No, I think we have to.
If we have $100,000 in the budget,
Take a look.
I would think we should put out the bid, especially since it's a safety feature, because the difference between the playing surface and the safety feature are supposed to become nominal. So if you say we have $100,000 available, I would ask to put out the bid.
Well, there is money in the parking, so there's two different bank accounts,
Yep.
especially in the park and rec fund. And there is about $225,000 in the park and rec fund, where also you would,
I'm sorry, you're showing off.
$225,000 in that fund, where DD operates to run all these special events, which is a lot of money.
What's she
It's
spending?
always a lot of money.
What's she budgeted to spend this year? Yeah, I would think.
Not that much. No, that's what I mean. There may be some money there to get, depending what it comes through. But again, like Tim says, it's after you want to spend the money on, and that's your fault.
Well, I think that physical tripping hazard is something that we have liability over. And I would want to get rid of that based on other things we've seen happen to us historically. If you're doing that, why would we keep going? Would be where I come from.
Agreed.
Could I add one more, just, thought to the process? It also says on the product of the bags that we're putting down that breathing in causes cancer. And it's so dry, our sprinkler systems don't work. When you get winds in, it's a whole cloud of that stuff all over the place. that's just another thing to think about. It's not good conditions over there. The winds pick up, there's some cloud, and people are breathing in.
I think the tide's swinging your way anyway, so let's see how this plays out. Okay.
Dave went there too.
Let's see how much more we can pile onto this.
Safety wise, I didn't know this, unbeknownst to me, I've been playing there for a little while now. The surface, you read the bag, it says do not inhale this, it causes cancer. So that's the surface that we're playing on right now. So I'd love to be able to replace that sooner than later. But my original thought was, so just to clarify, was there money allocated for a splash pad? I thought the Parks Board voted that was not the best idea. There's money there for that, I'd love to.
Most of
It's
it's
in the
easy.
budget, but a decision on that is not.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but here's the thing,
Talk that out
again,
with
we're
them.
talking about a splash pad, it's where there's money, where we can use EIC money, that's where that money came from.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of delineation.
All right, well, I was about to make a motion. So let's, times are going your way, I think, here. I think that there's a safety hazard there. I think that, if you're gonna go in there, everyone else will go through it. I'd make a motion to go put these out to bid. If you need to meet with the park board to see what components you need to bid out, I'd be in favor of that.
Absolutely.
Anyone say that? Liz?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Tim, is that enough to get you going?
Yeah, if we get together, if you could show me the product that you want to put down, I'm gonna be able to specify that, but yeah, we make all, absolutely.
This proposal that you presented, right?
Yeah, we're ready.
We good, guys? All right, it's gonna take a little longer than you like, but we have to go through the government process, right? I'm sorry, what's that?
So I guess it'll get business away from us.
Oh, wow. Wow. It's a lot of hard All right, we have one more thing under old business.
Yep. In old business, we had brought to the attention to the board about the Skip Pack Lions Diabetes Awareness 5K run. And we actually have Dr. Mike Krantz here today. He organizes the run every year. It's a fantastic event. It draws a lot of money toward the Diabetes Foundation. But we wanted to make it a point to let you know that it's not on 73 anymore, that the route has changed.
We've changed it, hi everyone.
Hang on, Mike.
We've changed it so we're taking off of 73 and making it more on the back roads, but we don't sign that. Making it more on the back roads. So this way, we're making it safer and we're letting 73 stay open. And this way, everyone on Church can go up and down before we were blocking everything. So we're making it more convenient for people. We're having less barriers, but more protection. We have a chase car, a pace car, and right now we have the Skip Pack EMS. We have the state police.
Barry, you wearing that? You're on board? Yeah. Okay.
And Lower Southford Police as well, that are one to two cars that they've offered depending on what their day looks like. On top of that, normally we have about 18 people, the Lions, helping out, standing at those locations where roads come in, that if they can, if the police need to be drawn away, we have someone stepping in there. We have the barriers and the cones with your guys' helps and the Lower Southford's help. So everything's pretty well marked. I've been running this for 21 years for the Lions. All of our people out on the road are visible. They have to get back lines on that too. And we try to make it as minimal as possible, where there's only about 2 hours that we really need it. And of that 2 hours, it's pretty much this section of the road could be opened up within 30 minutes, and then the next section, so it's not the whole time that the, whatever roads we are using are closed. As we discussed before, where you can put up a sign that says event, we will hit every house on the street and put a letter in their mailbox saying, hey, this day, these times, we're gonna have a run going on. We have no problem with that. All our stuff that we do, as we were saying, diabetes awareness, we actually give about $4,000 to PB's scholarship people from PB school or local, and give out to the local. Which, if there's money, you guys can always donate to the Skip Back Lions Club, and it'll be less than $100,000 that we're asking for. But
Alice, we have your insurance file, this has been filed.
We do.
Okay, good. Any questions? As long as barriers get, okay.
Yes. Can we know what roads, what back roads?
Oh, sure.
Should,
So,
yeah.
I'm sorry. So this year we changed it. Basically, I'm sorry.
We all know
Basically,
what
what we're doing.
Yeah, we know the roads. Just
Yeah.
tell us the roads
Basically,
that are
we're
on.
going through the parking lot from the straight.
Stray dog.
From the Stray Dog out to Store Road, right on the Store Road on the township,
Okay.
left on the township, right on the church, right on the Kinsey, back to Store, and then back into the parking lot.
Okay, so you're
So-
closing my road down twice
Which
here,
is-
because I'm store, and you're not gonna put a flyer in my mailbox because I don't have one.
I can knock on your door.
A lot of people along that route do not have mailboxes, we still have PO boxes.
Put it in the door.
Can it be put on the door?
Yeah.
But see, too many times
Yeah,
it
you can't put it
doesn't
in the
happen,
mailbox
because you just
Don't put it in
get.
the mailbox anyway, no.
I'll put them all on the door.
There you go.
Here's your-
No problem with
Because that's,
that.
I mean, that's
Okay,
the
here's
dead
your
time
picture.
of
Here's your
night.
route.
Oh, okay.
4:30 to 6:30 at night, which is what this
Yeah.
says, is, you know, everybody's going in and out for dinner and church and then all on a Saturday.
On a Saturday night.
And so I know what the traffic's like there, and I also know how it is trying to get in and out. Because we lived here for enough years.
But we've done it all these years that
Oh,
when
yeah.
people say, I need to go here and there, we
Yeah.
let them, but we hope they use their common sense and don't
Right,
speed
well,
up.
that's it,
Yeah.
it's difficult, but I just wanted to make sure,
Yeah.
because, yeah, you're gonna be going out and then coming back, so, yeah, you're gonna hit us twice, so, that's what I wanted to know.
Which, are you on the lower section or the upper section of Stewart?
Third one from Township Line. So you're coming from the town,
Okay.
you're almost to Township Line.
So once, yeah, we'll get, oh.
No, you're coming
almost
around,
there.
you're
Okay.
coming back down.
Yeah, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
We'll get, you know.
That's what I wanted to know.
So the next town goes 20 miles an hour.
Like, planned everything.
Okay.
But you can sneak out and take the township line onto,
Oh, yeah,
on
oh, I
Fort
know.
Hood.
I need to know.
Yeah.
And I'll pass on to some neighbors who, I know, this is the same time we do.
Maybe just give all the flyers to her.
Well, we will go around and we'll put the routes listed
Yeah, okay.
of what roads we're using, when they start running and normally our
Any
run
questions from the
takes
board?
about an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Hopefully in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, oh, yeah.
Because we're-
Let's vote.
we're paying
Okay.
them.
You know.
All right, Dr. Mike, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
event.
Is there a motion to approve the special event permit for Straight Lines Diabetes Awareness 5K Run?
I'll make that motion.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
All right, I see nothing else under old business, nothing under new business, and on to comments from the board. I'll start this time. I just have one. It seems like the last few weeks, I've seen a lot of solicitors going door to door. I don't know if that aged very well. You know, come to my door on a Sunday at dinner time, which they did, knocking on my door to tell me how bad the wasps were on my porch, which they weren't. Seems awfully invasive. And some of them don't have permits, some of them actually did file for a permit, and the ones that filed for a permit aren't allowed to go into private communities, for example, the 55 and over community, they were doing that and saying they had the right to. So it's on the agenda, but I'd like to put it on the agenda for next month to talk about that. I think that having an ordinance that says there's no soliciting at all kind of protects the residents, because now you say to the guy, you need a permit, well, I have one, they show you something fake, and most people wouldn't even know that. And some of these people aren't even real, they're coming to check the place out, they're looking around and see what you got. I don't think that door-to-door salesmen coming to our houses is a great thing. I'll discuss that next meeting. I know we've got some colleagues. Well,
That's the problem, emergency.
well, I'll tell you, well, we got a debate now, or next one. I think that at least at a minimum, if everybody knew that there's no soliciting no matter what, then people can't lie to you, so have to stay permanent. It's like, get out of here, and, you know, you can call the police, you can do whatever, and we go after it. I know that, if they take a picture, I took a picture of the car on license plate, you can call Alice, and we can call the state police and do whatever, so. But that's just an opinion, we can discuss it in public next time. I heard some applause, so somebody must like it.
Yeah, I'm not for door-to-door sales. You know, if I need it, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, it didn't age well, right?
It's a different era now, right? Remember, well, some of you might not.
Doesn't apply to Girl Scout cookies, does it?
You know, it doesn't apply to, it doesn't, you can't stop, political or religious.
Right.
So we can stop everybody else.
That's a federal law.
Who tells you your roof is leaking, it's not.
But I think it is different when, you know, you needed a set of encyclopedias, that was your guy. But that was a long time ago. Now everything, you can call Amazon. Yeah,
That's what
Google.
I know people have called and complained and sent emails, so like, people know where I am. Right, left, Karen, you have something.
I do. I would like to suggest that we look into, ordinances, speaking of, drafted for two areas of opportunity. One is for vaping and dispensaries. Just a little concerned about the proliferation. And I know there's some best practices out there from other townships. And then Justin had already brought it up, the motorized dirt bikes, e-bikes, and scooters, and I think we had already started looking at some of those examples, right, Alice, from other townships?
Yes.
So if it could make it to the agenda next time, I think that would be wonderful.
Give Mr. Pools a heads up, yeah.
And Tim has also shared that he has done short information modules / presentations about stormwater in other communities where you are the engineer. And they can be delivered in regular meetings on our agenda, little short modules, right, over time. And I'd like to advocate that we have Tim do this. So those are my two contributions for today.
Happy to.
Thank you.
Sorry to lose you guys.
There's gonna be.
Nothing more exciting than hearing more about stormwater.
I'm back my tongue on to say, how long are these little modules here, man? I'm here every month, so I have to hear all the time. All right. Thank you,
We
Karen.
could always do workshop.
All good
Yeah.
stuff.
You can have it in a work session, it's a separate meeting, but this might suit you better.
So vaping, motorized dirt bikes, and stormwater modules.
And the vaping
And the vaping
dispensaries.
and dispensary.
Got it, vaping and dispensaries, yep.
Thank you.
What you have for us, Mary?
So this is EMS week, from the 18th of May to the 25th of May. So I just want to say on behalf of Skippack Township, to Barry, who was, I believe, the only EMS person in the room tonight, thank you for everything that you do for us and for how you all go above and beyond and are there whenever we need you. And I think that it is a wonderful organization that we have, and that we do a lot of good work with a little bit of money, which actually just blows me away that we're able to handle everything that we do with the funds that we get. So I want to say thank you to Barry and his team.
Extend our gratitude to the team.
Yes. Also too, to talk to fire and EMS as well, the Senate passed legislation to address Pennsylvania's volunteer firefighter shortage. Have you heard of this? Okay, so they apparently just passed it, that if it had been left unaddressed, it would threaten to cause local tax hikes to fund paid services. The bill will also fix recent issues with emergency services grant funding. It is right now, Senate Bill 466 will allow job training credits to count towards Firefighter 1 certification, giving volunteer recruits a more flexible pathway to credentialing. It would also correct a recent administrative error that led to a number of fire company and EMS services grants being rescinded. Many departments had already budgeted for those funds, and the bill would ensure they received the support that they were promised. So, excuse me, it moves to the House of representatives for consideration. So it's been through the Senate, and now it's moving to the House. And when I hear what, if you don't hear before me, I'll make sure that you all know.
Anything else? Thank you, good stuff. Nick?
Well, Karen saw mine.
Which one was it?
The e-bikes.
Oh.
I actually heard a lot about it yesterday. I actually was talking to Justin and Alice today. We actually don't have an ordinance at all right now regulating vehicles on the trails. So I echo what Karen said and would like to see it on the agenda for that. So.
Anything else? Barbara, anything?
Agreed, the e-bikes up and down past the farm.
They were cutting down Collier Road the other day. I was at
It's a danger if you're driving a horse.
Oh.
We do that, yeah.
And those kids are flying around by the time you're like, yo, they're gone.
They're gone.
This township has too much money for such expensive
on
bikes.
that, and that's basically what they say too, when they get a call, you know, even to, support the age of the rider. How do you know, how do we know they're actually 16? Like, let's say they have to be 16. There's a lot of gray area, and generally, yeah, and they are all over the
Even
place,
with
they're like the
police,
newest, hottest thing.
Like 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, they came out and crossed where I live into Skipback Elementary, where the buses are, while they were loading. And they were going in and out of the buses, and the PD's police were there. He got in, but by the time he got to the guy, he was already gone. So.
Photos, we need photos. I think photos are everything.
I have some, but I'll send them over.
Yeah, that'd be helpful, yep.
So is that how you enforce that ordinance? I'm just curious. I mean, ordinances.
How we enforce anything is that, I mean, guy comes to my door and knocks and says he's selling something, I took a picture of his car, took a picture of his license plate, and I call the state police and say, it's this vehicle, if something's missing, go track that car down.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah, so I do that all the time. We caught plenty of vandalism, people graffitiing, people doing, mischief in the bathrooms, destroying stuff, and go get photos, and somebody knows who that kid is, and they send the police or call the parents.
I know the state police have come to my house before, and the one thing, it's easier for them to chase the four-wheelers, but they're told really not to chase the bikes.
They create a dangerous situation, the kids are to chase them, a photo goes a long way,
Yeah.
someone knows who they are.
I think proliferation with newsletter and everything like that to the parents, they may not know, or they're trying to get around the rules, like, I think they know, by putting the stuff on the back, reflectors and the lights on the front, and LEDs all around them, putting lipstick on a pig, so.
Well said.
Yeah, one more thing is Public Works Week.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Just want to thank our Public Works.
Yeah, we all,
Public Works crew we got.
it is the best public works, I get compliments all the time on how much quicker work thought out. People leave, skip back, thinking, okay, good, the roads are clear, and they hit on the road.
I would like
Potholes.
to put something on the agenda that says that EMS doesn't have to share their week with public works.
Teachers and nurses share weeks.
Yeah, there's a lot of weeks.
Anything else for the board? All right, with that then, meeting is adjourned, thank you all. Thank you.
Very much looking forward. I know. And as it